a hope, a dream, a wish. These can be found inside each and every one of us. To selflessly give of ourselves, to help another achieve their wish, their aspirations, to serve others. These are the principles that make us a great people.
First off, you take a little 7-year-old boy who wants to play baseball and wants to be an Army soldier, and you take him to baseball practice and the coach tells him to run around the field, and he can't. He doesn't have the strength, and you're sitting there with the other mom saying, do you think there's something wrong? He's not normal. Why is he not being able to run around the field like the other boys? And I'm like, well, I wasn't getting it, because you're just not expecting your child to be really sick. You still think, nothing like that's ever going to happen to me. So then they send you to a hospital and you see all these specialists, nurses, and doctors coming and going, and you're still not knowing what's going on. And finally they tell you that your child has acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and you're like, you just hear the word leukemia because you kind of know what that is. And I don't think I heard anything else he said from there.
I think initially it was more turmoil and chaos. I mean, we obviously have never been through anything like that before, so we didn't know what to expect, what to do, where to go. We had a lot of support from our friends, especially at church. For the family, with Colton being in the hospital all the time and Mom being at the hospital, it was pretty much me and Nick at home. And that was tough for him because big brother, he didn't have to go to school. He didn't see it from, the perspective of Colton's fighting for his life versus not going to school. In a kid's eyes, he's just skipping out on his classwork.
It's totally different. You're no longer going to baseball practice. You're no longer taking your kids to school and going out to dinner on the weekends or hitting a movie. Now you're learning who the nurses and the doctors are in the hospitals. They become your best friends because you don't have time for your best friends anymore.
There was one time where we stayed in the hospital for over a month because of the chemo that I had to get. It was so strong that I kept getting sick.
The doses would be too much, and they'd have to lower the doses, and his body would, go too low, and then they'd have to build him back up again so they could take him back down again. It was definitely a roller coaster.
All through his treatment, he went through it like a little trooper. He had his ups and his downs.
I kind of hoped that I would get out of the hospital soon so I could go home and play with my dogs and have fun with my family again.
I work in the engineering department, so I am a fixer. And there's not a lot of things that I can't fix. And when we sat in that room with all the doctors and everything, and he gave us that diagnosis, sorry. That's something I couldn't fix. It was tough. It was really tough. Sorry.
It was a long, long road, but Make-A-Wish was there for us.
Colton has always had a fascination with the military. To be a part of something bigger than himself. Make-A-Wish was there to serve him.
The next thing I knew, our trip to Medill had turned into, are you okay with flying? Because we want to send you to Virginia where the Navy SEALs are. And it was going to be the day in the life of a Navy SEAL, which ended up being a 2-day trip because I couldn't fit it all in, all the stuff that Colton wanted to do.
I would write down every day how many more days I had to wait.
He became a little man, kind of. And when it came time for that trip, he was that Navy SEAL. He was ready to go.
It was cool, having a bunch of guys playing with you on their equipment and their toys. It was a lot of fun.
When we got up there and got to the SEAL base, I mean, that kid never stopped smiling. And you can see that in the pictures. It was just the time of his life.
For all those years of sitting in the hospital, now we were finally a family again. Just the joy that other people have helped us get there. You know, for me to watch my son play with his idols, with his Army soldiers, his Navy SEALs, you just can't buy that. You can't buy it.
He has an implanted port in his chest where he receives his chemo, and he's very sensitive in that area. When they pinned him with his Navy SEAL trident, and that Commodore slaps that patch on his chest, and doesn't just slap it on there, pats him like 3 or 4 times. He didn't flinch, and the smile never left his face. You know that point, he wasn't caring about anything else. So that was a pretty amazing moment.
You know, they go out and fight for our country, and they put their lives on the line to fight for us. And then here they were telling my 10-year-old son, you know, to stay in the fight for his life. It was like, wow, that's really means something, because they know what it's like to have their life on the line. And Colton was kind of in the same situation. He had his life on the line for 3 years trying to, you know, stay alive. And they're out there fighting for him.
They help defend our country so we can be free and do this stuff.
I said, Colton, what did you like about your trip? He's like, well, it was the bestest day of my life, and I wish I could relive it over and over again. And I said, well, what about all the other things you've done? And he's like, no, that's the day. If I could relive any day in my life, I would relive the day that I spent with the SEALs.
Without the support of the people that do donate money to Make-A-Wish and volunteer their time and energy, most of those people will never really see the end result or know what happens with the families that are touched by this. And to say thank you is really not enough.